Hey, Bob Thompson for Smartphone Matters. Today we're going to talk about Google's Project Fi cellular service. So I've made a few other videos on my experience about ordering the Fi kit, getting a phone, getting it set up, and my initial experiences. But in September, I took a trip to China. I spent 15 days in China, half of that time in Hong Kong and the other half in Shanghai. So I brought my Nexus 6 with me so that I could test to see, did Project Fi really work internationally like Google says it will? And yeah, the answer is yes. It does. When I landed in Hong Kong and got settled, I took out the phone and I ran some speed tests, and service as advertised was very slow. Right now, I have my speed test results set here to look at the results in kilobytes, not megabytes. So these are in kilobytes. This test on September 8th, all the way up to September 9th, these were run in Hong Kong. So we see download speeds of like 11.9 kilobytes per second, and the fastest being 31.6 kilobits per second. And then on the upload speeds, the fastest being 34 kilobits per second, and the slowest being 2.8 kilobits per second. So again, kilobits per second, not megabytes per second, which is what we always usually look at here on Smartphone Matters. The other thing you'll see too is that the ping times were very high, 778 and then over 500 in these two cases. Ping is a measure of latency. 500 milliseconds is half a second. So that means you're waiting at least a half a second for any kind of response to come back, kind of a latent service. And then up here, you'll see this 6,003 kilobytes per second down, but that test was on Wi-Fi, so that was really about 6 megabytes. These two tests here on the 16th and the 21st, these were both run in Shanghai, China. And then again, slow speeds, 10.1 kilobits per second down and 13.3 kilobits per second, and then half a second to 1.5 seconds on the ping times. Google advertises that you'll get up to 256 kilobits per second on international data, and I was not seeing anywhere near those speeds. Even though in some areas the phone would say it was connected to Edge or 2G, other areas it would say 3G, sometimes it would say LTE, but the speeds were in fact throttled to these very low speeds. The voice service did work on the phone. I was able to make local phone calls overseas, and that all worked great. And then when I was in Hong Kong, I wanted faster data service, so I bought a local SIM. You can just go in Hong Kong, you can go into any convenience store and buy a SIM that comes with a phone number and data, and you can choose whether you get LTE or 3G, really whatever you want. They actually, in Hong Kong, there's a 7-Eleven or a Circle K on every corner. You can just go in and buy one of these cards. One of the interesting things is that when I went to Shanghai, I figured, well, the Google Project Fi is slow. I'll just buy another local SIM card in Shanghai. Wrong. In China, apparently, you need to come to a shop with your ID to buy a prepaid SIM card. It seems like if you're actually in the city or in a place where there's not a lot of visitors, they want a Chinese ID. You are really limited to trying to buy a local SIM card in the airport, while you have your passport on you. There are some companies in the airport that are willing to sell them to you. So this comes up to the sort of interesting part. One of the things I did was I wanted to use my iPhone when I was walking around in Shanghai for taking pictures and things like that. I actually moved my Project Fi SIM from the Nexus 6 to my iPhone 6, and it connected to China's Unicom network while I was walking around in Shanghai. I had data service on my phone. Now, the data service was slow. I could actually browse some web pages, and iMessage worked fine over data. I didn't do things like send pictures or picture messages to people, but I was able to check my email. I was able to check some basic web pages. I was also able to use iMessage for communicating back and forth with people while I was over there, and I was able to make local phone calls in Shanghai as well. So it does, in fact, work. I think it's actually kind of a cool thing, because if you have straight talk, as soon as you leave the United States, it just stops working. There's no international plan. There's no roaming. With Google's prepaid Fi service, your phone will work when you land in a foreign country, and you will have some data service. All right, so we looked at the speed test results here, and I think I ran some speed tests on the iPhone while in China as well. A lot of speed tests on Wi-Fi, but okay, so here on September 17th, we can see that I ran a few different tests. And then again, scores in the kilobytes, 19 kilobytes, 22 kilobytes per second, half a second in the ping times. So again, this was really slow. But again, I was surprised. It did actually work for iMessage. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Fi. Actually, I just recently crossed the billing cycle for Fi, and so I can actually show you a few things here. This month, my bill was only $28.07, and I got a credit back for unused data. I got $6.64 back. So I had the $20 for, my plan was $20 for the unlimited calling and text messages, and then 1 gig of data, $10 a gigabyte, and I didn't use up that whole gig. So I got credited back. So you can see down here, credit for unused data, 0.664 gigabytes at 10 gigabytes comes to $6. One thing that I did notice was that they charged me for international usage. They charged me 76 cents. And if I look at that, it says you used 0.076 gigabytes at $10 a gigabyte for 76 cents. I had actually thought the international data was included with the, $10 a gig that I was already paying. Maybe it's not. Maybe actually what's happening is that if you use data abroad, you're paying for that data separately, and it's still $10 a gigabyte. 76 cents that's not a lot of money. I would have thought basically the text messages, the iMessages I was sending, and the email I downloaded, and some of the web pages I loaded while I was moving around would have used up more data than that. A little bit surprised to find out international data was not included, but I guess happy to see that I only used 76 cents worth of data. This is showing sort of what my bill normally would be. 5 basics is 20, the data is 10. And then they're charging taxes and regulatory fees of $3.95. It's $33.95 a month for unlimited calling with 1 gig of data. Not an amazing deal with the other features they offer, the tethering and stuff like that. Pretty nice. I guess that's about it for this update. Fi worked well abroad. At this point, I think I'm just rambling as usual. I'm going to end this here. If you found any of this information useful, give us a like on YouTube. If you'd like to see more videos like it, subscribe to the Smartphone Matters YouTube channel. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them below or head over to the companion article on Smartphone Matters and leave a reply there, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.